Curls, 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 I do adore. Yeah, I know it's a Jay-Z reference, but whatever. Welcome to the Style and Vibes podcast with me, Michaela. I'll be giving you the inside scoop on music, fashion, culture, and more from Caribbean celebrities and tastemakers across the globe, pushing our culture with authenticity and, of course, style and vibes. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the latest episode of the Style and Vibes podcast. I am your host, Michaela, and today we are getting into something that I know all too much about, and that is natural hair. I have been rocking my natural hair for many years. There was no real particular reason as to why I went natural. I wanted to see what my curls look like. And I haven't gone back since. So that was probably, over almost 15 years ago now. And it's been quite the journey. I've seen so many different brands come on and create products just for curly girls like myself. But when it comes to, and it's a huge movement here, and we're continuing to see the growth of the natural hair space. Quite thanks to a lot of YouTube bloggers. I think they were kind of at the forefront of like the whole transition of embracing natural hair. When I had gone natural, it wasn't necessarily a thing yet. And there were no YouTube tutorials or videos of how to do. I kind of just looked at magazines like Hype Hair and kind of figured out how to do certain styles. And I was always very good with my hair. My hair is kind of like my thing that I go to that always has to look presentable. So it's always been, a passion of mine, my hair, and just really understanding hair and the healthy hair space. But I think even as more bloggers and YouTubers are kind of growing in the space, that doesn't leave out my Caribbean folks. So we are tapping into Nelly from A Day in the Life of Nelly. She's actually a natural hair blogger based out of Trinidad and Tobago. I recently hooked up with her when I went to Trinidad for a carnival, and she kind of showed me, she took me to a market where I was able to kind of purchase some local products. So she's very well versed in the space, and we have a really fun and in-depth conversation about what it's like to be a curly girl in the Caribbean. Before we get into our conversation with Nelly, I definitely want to share what I'm styling on and what I'm vibing to. So recently, Pyre Moss, which is a brand that is founded by Kirby Jean Raymond, who is of Haitian descent, recently received the CFDA, which is the Council of Fashion Designers of America, and Vogue Fashion Fund. So congrats to the Pyre Moss team and Kirby Jean Raymond. They have been doing amazing work. He's had a collaboration with Reebok and definitely has had some red carpet looks from the likes of Tracee Ellis Ross to Issa Rae, you name it. He's a young designer really doing amazing things here and of Haitian descent. So big up Haitien, my people, and watch out for all the things that he has coming up. I'll leave his Instagram and social information. And that's what I'm styling on right now. And what I'm vibing to right now is a youth named Kemar Haikon. He has a song called Saucy. I think it's a really fun track. He actually lives here in the States. I'll definitely put the link below or in the notes so that you guys can listen. But yeah, got me feeling saucy right here now. Yeah. So welcome to another episode of the Style and Vibes podcast. Today we have a very special treat. We don't just talk about music and style over here, but we are talking natural hair and beauty in the Caribbean with Nelly. She is a blogger based in Trinidad, natural hair blogger. If I'm mistaken your title, let me know. But yeah, a natural hair blogger based out of Trinidad, A Day in the Life of Nelly B. But your real name is Tshenelle Bethel, and you're recently just married. So I forget the whole thing from you.
Yeah, it's a well, on officially Bethel Peters until I do the name change. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I really just wanted to kind of talk to you just about beauty. And, I know you're in the natural hair space. Me personally, I've been in the natural hair space for a long time as well, but I don't write about it as much. It
Mm-hmm.
just is part of my personality. And I guess my aesthetic, I guess you can say. So it's really interesting. I think a lot has been happening in the natural hair community, not just here in the States, but specifically globally, as more and more women are embracing their natural tresses. And there's nothing wrong with, those who want to keep it relaxed and cool. But I think a lot more women of color are kind of embracing their natural hair. So tell me about kind of your journey a little bit.
Okay, well, I was always natural until I think Form 1. Form 1 is like the equivalent of, I think, the seventh grade.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
That's when we start secondary school, or you
mm-hmm.
guys might say, I think,
Middle
uh,
school. Yeah.
middle school,
Yeah.
right? And they put like, what was it? A dry curl in my hair. Some called like a texturizer,
Mm-hmm,
not quite a relaxer, but not as wet as a Jerry curl.
mm-hmm,
And I had that for all of Form 1. So I'd have been, what age at the time? 12 or so,
mm-hmm.
until the July August vacation between Form 1 and Form 2. I cut it out because it wasn't doing my hair well.
Mm-hmm.
So I was natural from age 13 again, straight up until I was probably about 24 when I decided to relax my hair because I wanted a change.
Mm-hmm.
And that lasted all of 16 months. I remember being at the hairdresser. I went to get a relaxer and to install some extensions and telling myself, I can't do this anymore. Like, I really cannot do this. So I started braiding my own hair. I transitioned for about 5 months and then I big chopped, I think it was February 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, February 2012.
I think that that's a natural. I think, a lot of people kind of just go through. I think as women, we go through hair transitions, regardless of if it's relaxed or natural. And we go through that experimentation phase. I remember having a relaxer for many years as well, but I kind of, there was no rhyme or reason as to why I went natural. I just saw I had only, I used to only get like a relaxer maybe twice a year. So, when you go
Mm-hmm.
in that extended period and you kind of see that curl pattern, you're like, oh, and I was just like, I wonder what it would look like, just on and that's it. So that was kind of my transition period. And I kind of straightened it for a while because I would just go to the Dominican salon and get it straightened. And
Mm-hmm.
it kind of grew to a certain length and I just cut it off. And I think there weren't that many products on the market that really catered to natural hair. There was no YouTube community. It was literally gel, water, and conditioner was all I
And grease.
had.
Don't forget grease.
And grease, yes. So you mix up your own little concoction and you kind of just work with it. But I think being based in the Caribbean, you probably have access to a lot more natural products. So I guess talk to me a little bit about that because I think the product availability, even now, even versus then, and even now, there are so many products that are on the market. But there are so many local products being made, and I kind of know that you're a huge advocate for using local products and really just sharing with your community the local things that are kind of made locally in the Caribbean and in Trinidad. So talk to me a little bit about that in terms of product availability.
Oh yeah, well, growing up, I think we experienced the same thing that you may have in the US where there were hair products, but there weren't products that were specifically for natural hair. So Like I could have used, well, I used what my sister was relaxed at the time. I could have used what she was using in her hair, uh, as well, because that's what it had in the beauty supply store here. Back then, you didn't really hear about locally made natural hair products, or even any natural hair product, commercial, imported, or otherwise, that was specifically marketed to natural hair. With the shift, I would say that shift probably happened in the Caribbean. Now, before I actually say the shift, what I would say that unlike what I have seen with like my American counterparts, natural hair in the Caribbean, more so in Trinidad, has always it's been accepted. It's been a bit of a norm. So it wasn't that whole drastic shift like what may have happened in the US, but there was still a shift locally nonetheless. And you started seeing people going natural. So then the beauty supply stores here, the main one being Pennywise. Pennywise is essentially, if I have to compare Pennywise to any, let's see, maybe like a Sally's. I
Okay.
could compare Pennywise to Sally's if I had to compare it like that.
Okay.
And they realized that, okay, people are going back natural. Let's find the products that are let's monitor what people are using, etc. And then they started to bring in some of the more commercial products like Aunt Jackie's, what was that, African Pride, and a couple others in the early game. Because I used to use the African Pride brand in my hair. I was faithful to that brand when I had just big chopped. And then you started seeing the rise of the boutique, what I call boutique natural hair stores. So right now, well, there was a store called Body Beautiful on the Avenue. They have closed down. You still have Valrosa Limited, you have Beauty Bag, and a couple other local online stores that bring in more brands like TGIN, brands like As I Am, Miel Organics, Curls, and a couple other what I would consider independent brands in states that bring in those. Now, you had persons locally who started making their own products because they felt like these commercial products weren't working for them, right? So they started, one of the first brands I've ever used that was locally made was a colleague of mine, Nolana Lynch. We went to school together. She created her line called Eco Truffle for hair and for skin. So she has not just hair stuff, but soaps and lotions, facial stuff as well. And then you had other brands who started to follow suit and bring out their own local versions of hair products that catered for us, that catered for our climate. And a good bunch of them have actually been pretty successful, to the point where they are now in more mainstream beauty supply stores and pharmacies across the country. The thing is, though, is that there is always that perception in the Caribbean that what is foreign is better. And although, yes, there are foreign brands, I mean, I use right now, like one of my favorite brands to use is the Main Choice. I love their products. But at the same time, I also have other local products like the Mixtures J, like Happy Kills, Happy Girls, that are making products here, and they're doing just as well in my hair as well. So my whole thing was to highlight, okay, there's nothing wrong with using the foreign products, that's fine. But there are also really good local brands that you can support as well.
And then you also have, so I think this is how we kind of connected, is through your Facebook group, Caribbean People with Natural Hair. It has over 25,000 group members. So tell me a little bit about forming that community and, even your blog, that's your personal space to kind of share a lot of the trends that are happening, not just in the Caribbean, but just in the natural hair space. Like, did you kind of start that group out of a similar necessity to kind of share what was happening locally? Or, just tell me a little bit about that.
Right. The thing is, I actually did not start the group. A lot of people assume because I'm the mouthpiece that I started it. I didn't.
Okay.
A local hairstylist and a fellow secondary school colleague of mine named Sophia Damani.
Mm-hmm.
She actually created the group. The group was originally for her to share her natural hairstyling. But then she realized that people started to join because they wanted a space because they were going back natural. When she asked me to help administrate the group, that was when I was actually in the process of going back natural. So that would have been coming up to the end of 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess because of the fact that I work in social media and web content management full time, I was able to spare the time to share in the group, post things, manage the group, that sort of thing. And I guess, people kind of associated me with being the leader of the group when I'm not.
Right, right.
When
No,
I'm
it's
not.
totally understandable. Yes, I I got that impression too. So, big up to Sophia, and I'm sure I think she's still listed as the admin on the group.
Yes,
Um,
she is.
so that's amazing. And I think what I like about that group is it almost feels like a safe space to kind of transition, or if you have questions, like people are very helpful. And then, you're always in there kind of moderating some of the commentary that kind of comes around, some of the topics that, are becoming very popular around natural hair and all the issues that are kind of surrounding it. I think even though natural hair has kind of become a definite uh, thing that people are embracing, we still kind of have some ways to go. And even in the Caribbean, there's cases of students being turned away because they have dreadlocks, or their hair is considered not kempt, or they're wearing box braids and things of that nature. So how do you think things have progressed, or where do we have more opportunity to kind of grow in that space and really embrace everyone to be more inclusive?
We have come a good way. However, we do have a good way to go in terms of accepting the fact that my hair does not go straight, my hair does not grow down, my hair grows kinky, curly, it coils, and it grows up and it grows out. So, for example, I think would it have been last year or year before, there was a young man who worked for an insurance company here in Trinidad, and he had a fade, and he would curl the top of the fade, and HR apparently wrote him up about it, and he took it to social media, and there was a whole uproar
Mm-hmm.
about it because you're like, what is neat? My definition of neat will not be the definition in terms of my hair being neat, the definition of someone who has naturally straight hair.
Mm-hmm.
My hair kind of go into a sleek bun no matter how much I try, no matter how much eco styler
Mm.
or Denman brush or whatever it may be, my natural hair will not go into a sleek ponytail or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a definite need for awareness and for acceptance in terms of natural hair textures here and in the Caribbean on a whole.
Yeah, I definitely think I see issues like this pop up all the time, like sporadically, and it's kind of like as, as soon as you think you've come a certain way, it's just kind of like you're taking a few steps back by not by simply people just not embracing, or like you said, the equivalent of neat is straight, and that's not necessarily the case.
Mm-hmm.
And one such case I know there's been like, and it's kind of past at now, is Gabriella Bernard when she was on the Caribbean Next Top Model, and the video with her and Wendy in her salon.
Girl, Hannah.
That was probably the most annoying part of that video. But I know she's come out and she's spoken out on both angles. And the video wasn't new, but it actually got picked up by U.S. media as well as being, kind of highlighting the issue around natural hair and the fact that she had to process. At first, I didn't think that she had to process her hair. But she actually replied to me on Instagram and said that she did end up processing her hair. And there was a whole debacle about whether she should have left the show or why she even conformed. And, we're not in that situation, so we can't really judge. But, for as a conversation kind of piece, what were your thoughts around that whole ordeal, and what would you have done in that situation, I guess you would say?
Oh, where do I start? Where do I start? Okay. This was like I actually did a interview with one of the local news stations here on their morning program about this sometime, I think that would have been in September. And there's so much surrounding this entire exchange that we really had to break it down. Now, one of the first things I said was that in the year of our Lord 2018, you're telling me that they did not have the means to give her the straight look without processing her hair?
Because I was like, I thought it was a silk press. I was just like, no, I think she just silk pressed it and she kind of went about her business. But then when she said she processed, I was like, huh? I was like, did they not know that they can achieve the same look without actually going through a chemical process?
Exactly. But at the same time, in following up on the interviews, I saw the documentary, I saw her short film, and in following up in some of the interviews that she has said, and I questioned how genuine she was in terms of what had happened, because in the short film, if I remember correctly, she mentioned that she didn't win the top model show. So I was like, okay, so if she did win, would we have ever seen this? You know what I mean? That just made me. I mean, like I said, as a natural woman, I can understand how she may have felt, at the salon and all of that jazz. I totally understand that. But that was just one of the questions that kind of like left me a bit unsettled about the whole thing. If she had won, would there have been this I can't remember the name of her, black hair, right? Would we have had a documentary called Black Hair? You understand? So I questioned just the genuineness of it. And then I also said that, she was talking about people seek her out for her natural hair in terms of modeling. But then too, and I mean, I get that. I've been a plus size model. People, like, I remember doing shoots because they specifically wanted a brown skin model. They wanted natural hair, and I understand that. But at the same time, as a model, you are essentially a canvas for whether it is a photographer or a designer. So, you have to be open to whatever concept that you want, that they want, I should say, rather. But I mean, in the end, for me, I don't think I could have ever really been a true definition model in terms of the term, because I'm not relaxing my hair. I'm not going to do a lot of things that models are often required to do. That's just me. So she gave in, and I mean, what more can we say about it now?
Yeah, I agree. I think I probably would have left the show if they demanded me to do so. Because I think it's one thing to suggest, and I think they kind of, it's also television, right? So they kind of create these situations and, make them not back down, so that there is some drama kind of engrossed within some of these reality shows. So I think that also plays a part in it too. But again, you have to be, you have to be strong in terms of, there are certain things that you're willing to do and certain things that you're not willing to do. It's very similar to, I want to be a model, but I'm not going to be a nude model. I know it's a little extreme, but it's kind of the same thing in my book. But, she seems to be, she's a beautiful woman, and I really admire her kind of looking at the situation and kind of restarting, if you will, and kind of just pushing through. So that I think that's kind of some of some parts of her messaging as well. So tell me more about what you're using in terms of products and things that you love, brands that you are hoping to see grow and even reach over here. Because we have a few brands like Crayola Essence that, are sourced in Haiti and Jamaica. We have Jamaica castor oil. So those are kind of things that, I'm always on the lookout for from the region, is when they can reach here or versus vice versa.
That's a good question. That's a very good question. What am I using in my hair right now? I use so many things. Oh my goodness. Let me see if I can tell you some of my staples. In terms of commercial, okay, let me not say commercial. Let me say in terms of foreign products. The two brands that I use right now in terms of foreign products are, like I mentioned, Main Choice, as well as there's a brand called Curls Dynasty. Michaela, get your hands on that stuff.
Curls Dynasty.
My goodness. There's a young lady who, what is her Instagram? Reina Organica TT. She sells it locally, and she sent me some of their products to give her feedback on. And let me tell you, I was like, okay, I need to find out what from their product line I don't have, so I could buy it when I get paid. Because
wow, yeah,
no, I was really amazed, and I'm very particular, but their stuff is so good. So good. So you could definitely
writing my notes right here. I'm like, Curls Dynasty. All right. I love trying new.
Definitely check out that brand.
Yeah.
And locally, what am I using locally? Okay. Right now, I actually did a video on some of the stuff that I'm using. I just published that yesterday, but I'll still rehash that. Products like the Mixtress J. They have a product called the Irish Moss Leave-In. Let me say something. That leave-in conditioner is life.
And that's what I haven't. I have one leave-in conditioner that's kind of my go-to, but a really good conditioner. I'm on the hunt for. I need shampoo for my scalp, which I think I've kind of found, and a really good a good conditioner, I have some ones that I just use and they're just okay. And even like a deep conditioner. I'm using Cantu's deep conditioning mask, and that's working pretty decent.
Cantu does not agree with my hair at all.
It's me. That's me and Shea Moisture with most of their hair products. So I can't use, but it's so good in my daughter's hair. So it's really about trying different things, and because everyone kind of just has a different texture, and I can use the shampoos, and I don't like any of the conditioners, but I can use the shampoos, and I'll use the conditioner just because I have it in my closet, but it works really well in my daughter's hair. And her ends, look, I've been nursing her ends since summer camp, and they look really good now. And she's been using primarily Shea Moisture. So Cantu, and I think it's because Cantu is more water-based. So my hair really takes well to just a re-wet and a restyle. I have to just add moisture in it to kind of keep it giving that lustrous look. So I think that's why Cantu has been working pretty well for me. And then I have this Form leave-in, it's a multitask leave-in conditioner. And that is actually works really, really well in my hair. And I love their shampoo and their conditioner, and the fact that I don't have to use a lot. But I don't like the bottle. The bottle is what really bothers me.
And what about the bottle?
You know what it is? It's too hard. So, you can't get that extra, I love squeeze bottles or containers that I can kind of scoop, because you use triple the amount of conditioner than you do shampoo. But the smell of it is amazing. It just smells like you're coming right out of a salon, like a spa, not even a salon, but that smell that you have when you're walking into a spa. It just smells like Zen. That's basically what your hair smells like after using the foreign products. But I keep going on. I'm trying to get your list. I have my list already.
Right. So let me see. I mentioned the Mixtress J. There's also another brand called Happy Girls. Happy Girls. I really like their shampoo. What else? So there's Mixtress J, Happy Girls, Happy Girls. There is. I'm currently using. I just did a blog post. I'm currently using products from a new line called Organic Touch.
Mm-hmm.
She's really new on the market, but her stuff is actually pretty decent. She still has to grow because, like I said, she's really new, and I know she's still like finding herself. And she actually grows her own products, her own like plants and etc. that she uses. She grows her own like materials, ingredients, etc. for her products. Who else, boy? You gonna make me get up and look in my bathroom to see?
You know what? Just send me a cohesive list, and then I'll put it with the in the show notes so that to some of your favorites, Nelly's favorites. That's what I'm gonna call the list. It's gonna be Nelly's favorites.
Nice.
So I know we're running out of time, so I wanted to kind of get maybe like what you're working on, what you have coming up. I know you do a lot of coverage in Trinidad. I know they have natural hair shows. Like, what do you think is next for naturals in the Caribbean and just as an industry kind of moving forward?
Actually, well, what I have been privy to, what happened? Our team that used to administrate the group, we used to do natural hair meetups and socials back in the day, but we had to kind of disband because life got in the way and we weren't able to commit. But I do know of persons who are planning to put on natural hair events that are going to be akin to like Curlfest. So they're planning that for next year. So I know of 2 possible Curlfest type events that will be happening. And then otherwise, we just continue to grow the group and help other persons in their natural hair journey. And then on my personal Nelly B scale, I just continue to share my experience with my natural hair, product reviews, local finds, and just see how it goes from there.
Thank you so much. And not only that, so for you guys that don't know, like Nelly was in all of my Trinidad videos because she essentially took me to a market down in Trinidad, and I was like, I spent all my money. I had to go to the ATM and get more money because the brands, like when I tell you, you must go shopping for hair products, natural products, and like literally, I used everything, and I still have the container just because I want to know. I have to like get it. Maybe I have to just PayPal you some money so that you can get those items for me.
No, that can be arranged. That could definitely be arranged. If you want that, we can definitely do that.
They were so good. I think the natural element, and we do have natural products here, but for whatever reason, the texture is much thicker, like it's creamier, and there was a body butter. It's a whole list. I have the list and I'm going to send it to you. But you've always been such an amazing resource in terms of just keeping on the pulse of what's happening from a natural hair standpoint. And thank you so much for sharing, your thoughts, your journey. And I hope, the audience took a look at something from it. And, curly hair girls to the world, embrace your naturalness. Spice is now back to black.
Praise the Lord.
As we record this, debacle of her skin color change, I think that's definitely another topic that we have to save for another day. So
true, but I'll say this much though: colorism is real.
It is so real. It's so real.
Don't let people fool you. It's real.
Yes, it's real. And to be honest, I think people who are not of a darker skin complexion don't believe that. And I've had conversations even with close family members who really think that it doesn't exist. And I'm like, yes, I'm considered a browning, but me know that the colorism thing is huge. So
yep,
I'm not even gonna argue. I did argue with them, but we'll save that for a whole nother topic. Thank you so much, Nelly. Yep. We'll have you back for that conversation.
Of course. Thank you for having me, Michaela.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for listening to the latest episode of the Style and Vibes podcast. If you like what you hear, and I know you do, share it with your friends and family.
If you want more, make sure you visit styleandvibes.com and follow us on our social channels, Twitter and Instagram at Style and Vibes. Until next time, Leah Tommy Peeps!